Now, the rest of the story.
Welcome back. Seems how we can't plant corn or beans. Dad and I had still found a way to play in the dirt, and that is filling these sinkholes in down at my place. Now, the thing is, it is just borderline where we really could be in the field. Well, to be honest with you, we tried. And while we can actually go ahead and plant, the seed trench isn't getting closed by the closing wheels because it just has too much moisture in the soil yet. And it really came down to a decision of, do you want to do it or do you not? And gut instinct just said it was better off to not do it. So we actually decided to put the planter away. We went out and looked at the last of our new seeding that we got to put in. And even that, I mean, you know it's bad when it's the middle of May and it's to the point you can't even really put in oats. We just don't want to mud them in, is a lot of it. We just haven't really seen the sun in about a week, and that is sun and heat. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's really what we need. We haven't had rain in a couple days now, but it's not getting very warm throughout the day. Last night at 10 o'clock when I checked the temperature, it was 37 degrees out down at my place. Well, to the point where it's getting so cold out that the grass in the, I should have showed you, the grass in the other part of the field where we were, we actually have it, it's actually burnt from getting so cold. It's frostbit. Definitely set it back a fair ways. So currently, the amount of moisture that is in the soil, like right on top, you can kick up dust. That's probably the most aggravating part, is the fact that it looks dry. It's dry on top of the soil, but the second you spin your wheels or you crack open the surface, it's muddy. It's not wet, it's just outright muddy. The stuff we were planting this morning, that's basically the best way to describe it, was we were putting seed in the ground. Placement was fine, the depth was fine, but the problem is when you're going through and digging out the trenches, your fingers were coming back up muddy. I mean, my fingers are still kind of gritty, and really you really should know better than to plant in those kind of conditions if you can help it. And honestly, it was kind of a tough decision to make. Really didn't want to quit, but we knew better. I think there might be only one guy in the area that is actually planting right now. At least that's what I was told. And the one guy that I kind of run off of, it's like, well, if he's planting, I mean, it's getting close for us. And even he said that it's too wet for even them to be planting. I do know that I do not like our closing wheels. I want to get the Sinkholes, something that can handle with sidewall compaction and actually do a better job of moving the dirt. I necessarily don't want to move the dirt, but I want to at least make sure that it is completely closing the trench up compared to these rubber wheels. I haven't liked rubber closing wheels ever. We had them growing up on our planter, then we went to that 1750 that had the spike closing wheels. That did a better job at closing the trench, but the problem is with those in the right conditions, those spike closing wheels actually did an awesome job of spinning up the seed that you were planting. They were actually digging the seed that you were putting down. It was picking it back up and it was setting on top of the soil. So really weren't sold on the whole spike closing wheels for the conditions that we're planting in. Same thing with the no, not with the Sinkholes. What I'm looking at with the Sinkholes is because they have that intermeshing finger design. They cover a little bit more area. They cover more of the topsoil or the top of the dirt, and it helps push it in towards the trench, so you're not creating compaction as you're trying to close that trench up. And really, I was planning on doing even a couple of the rows, and maybe not all of them, just to kind of get an idea as to how they would perform across a lot of our conditions. and a couple things work against me. Time. I'm actually taking the time to go ahead and do it, because we were leading up to planting, we were doing a lot of rushing, trying to get everything else done between fences and making everything else as prepped and ready to go. The closing wheels were kind of an afterthought. Same thing with the 3 bushel boxes in the planter. Those are two things that we, in the short term, we would really like to get done to the corn planter. Change the closing wheels out and put 3 bushel boxes on it, now that we no longer need the insecticide boxes on the planter. The only thing is, with those 3 bushel boxes, I have looked at them. We've all been considering them for the last 2 or 3 years now. Only problem with them is that we were quoted $400, a little over $400 a row for the 3 bushel boxes. That's a lot of cash, especially when you're only using it for X amount of time. I'm waiting on Dad right now. If you're wondering why I'm just sitting here. So, as far as this barge box goes, we can only hold about 3 good scoops with the JCB bucket. I think Dad likes using it. It's definitely a lot bigger, and it's a lot, it's kind of like a mini bulldozer with the tracks on it and everything. It does such a better job in its own right for the different tasks that you give it, better than the Bobcat. I'm not going to deny it. There are some jobs that the Bobcat does better, mainly just because the JCB is a bigger machine. The Bobcat is able to get in some of our tight and closer areas than the JCB, but then again, though, the JCB can also push its weight around a lot more too. As far as the rocks and everything down here, we are trying to gradually pick up rocks. I actually brought down the rock bucket the other day, and I was actually going to go ahead and try to pick up some of these ones that I'm definitely aware of that I have to pick up, but it's really just been too wet to try to get out here and do it. If we weren't doing this right now, I actually would probably be picking up rocks at the moment. So I don't really have much I actually haven't really ran the thing here much in the last 2 weeks. It's mainly been Ryan and Dad. Probably should be watching him out. Need to go through and clean all the tractors off again. I was playing in the mud with the 76, and I got the back window all dirtied up. I don't know if you guys can really see that in the camera too well, but we got those just a container of window washing wipes that really works handy. It beats having a bottle of Windex and some shop towels in here all the time. So hopefully, if we're lucky, we're gonna get up to the 60s, 70s next week. I think we're all hoping for that. Right now, we've been running in the low 50s and the 40s here for the past week. Largely why the ground just isn't doing anything when we haven't had rain for so long is that it's not getting the conditions it needs to dry some of the soil out. And as odd as it sounds for only having a couple scoops in the barge box here, I guess it's mainly just ground conditions. But I was actually running in just 2-wheel drive with the 76 here earlier, and I was actually cutting in pretty good with just the rear tires, so I ended up having to run the front wheel assist. So those new tires, those new Michelin tires, were definitely worth it. I've never ran Michelins on the front before on any machine, and somebody did point that out, that they do ride rougher. Yeah, you definitely do get more of that hop going down the road until you get the tire warmed up. But even then, like even running the tractor throughout the day, it does seem like the tractor wants to hop more on pavement going down the highway. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you just pull your throttle back a little bit and you're fine. We got an extra one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got about 5 sinkholes out here we got to fill in. I know that Vernig grapple bucket would definitely shine out here. Or the Vernig multi-purpose bucket. I'm pretty certain that it is actually just a Vernig rock bucket or grapple bucket, but that attachment, that skid steer attachment, I've used it for so many different things other than just picking rocks, and probably its main purpose that it was designed for, but it's really nice having the grapple on the front of it. You can pick up trees and knock out brush, and I'm really failing at the whole backing up thing now, aren't I? Because Ryan actually went out with that bucket and he cleaned up a bunch of our four-wheeler trails with it. We had a couple of trees that had fallen on the four-wheeler path. These are good-sized trees. I mean, they're not huge by any means, but they're probably 8 to 10 inch trees, 20, 30 foot long. And Ryan was able to grab them with the grapple bucket with the JCB, grab them, pick them up, and drive over and dump them in the brush pile. The Bobcat, you can do that with the Bobcat, but you're going to do an awful lot of spinning and digging and riding on just your front two tires. But that grapple bucket definitely shines a lot better on a heavier machine. Alright, I'm going to go out and push some rocks into the holes. They're deep enough, we'll never see them again, that's for sure. Because the one is about 5 feet deep, at least. So. Alright guys, thanks for riding along. Try to stay motivated, I guess is the best way to say it, because it is the middle of May. We haven't had, well, we got 40 acres of soybeans in and that's it. And at least we're not the only ones. I know there are some people that have absolutely nothing in the ground, so it's not completely terrible. But it's just one of those things. It's a yearly thing. Every year is different. Grandpa said that all the time. There were years I remember we were putting oats in the ground in the 20th or the 25th of March and planting late April, not starting until the middle of May. The guy that was just here earlier said the exact same thing. It's the fact that a lot of farmers have gotten spoiled. We're used to planting being done the first week or two of May, not starting the second to third week of May. So as long as the rain doesn't keep us out of the field for another month, 4 weeks, we'll be fine. The only thing is that I'm a little concerned with, and I'm not going to get too excited on it just yet, is I do have a 113-day corn variety. It is the highest yielding or the best performing DeKalb number here in the most recent years, or just here lately. So my plan is to get that planted the very first day we do start planting corn. But once we get past the 25th of May, if we aren't planting by the 25th of May, we are going to probably looking at a serious shake-up of at least a couple of our numbers. But that's the plan anyway. But you know how the dreaded P word is around here. Alright, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. Talk to you guys later.